An egregious act. I mean, things are just out of control. This brings me a lot of sadness, man, because I'm a dad. And I know a lot of people look at this situation and they're upset about it, especially if you're a parent. And it really hits hard if you are a parent of a daughter. Oh man, Iryna Zarutska, a 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee who fled the Russian invasion and saw safety in the United States, was tragically stabbed to death in an unprovoked attack on August 22nd, 2025, aboard a Charlotte, North Carolina light rail train after escaping bomb shelters in war-torn Ukraine. Zarutska had built a new life in Charlotte, working at a pizzeria and a senior citizen center, caring for neighborhood animals, taking community college courses to improve her English, and recently moving in with her partner. Embodying the American dream until her life was cut short. Surveillance video captured the horrific moment. Dressed in her work uniform, she boarded the Lynx Blue Line around 9:46 p.m. on Saturday, scrolling on her phone, and just 4 minutes later, 34-year-old Decarlos Brown Jr., a stranger with a history of mental illness and prior convictions, including armed robbery, pulled a folding knife from his pocket and struck her 3 times, at least once in the neck, with no prior interaction between them. Pronounced dead at the scene despite passengers' aid, Zarutska's killing was ignited a national outrage over urban crime, transit safety, and systemic failures as Brown, released from jail months earlier despite his record, was arrested, charged with first-degree murder, and now faces federal charges, eligible for the death penalty. Man, let's just take a look at this. This sickening. It's disgusting.
It's 9:46 p.m. You'll notice right away, this looks like any other ride aboard the light rail. People are doing what they do these days, keeping to themselves, scrolling on their phones as they ride along. The man accused in the killing, Decarlos Brown, is in the red hoodies on the right side of your screen. He appears to be maybe a little emotional, perhaps a little agitated, but nothing disruptive. There's nothing that gets anyone's attention. About 30 seconds later, Iryna Zarutska boards. She's wearing a hat and a t-shirt from a pizzeria, and she sits in the row in front of Brown. She has earbuds in and is looking at her phone. She too's just minding her own business. They ride along for around 4 minutes with nothing unusual happening. Then around 9:50 p.m., Brown reaches into a pocket. We've zoomed in on it here. He pulls out a pocket knife. No one notices a thing. Seconds later, he would stand up, and from behind, unprovoked, as we stop the video, he would stab the young woman several times. She had no chance to defend herself. The attack was over in seconds, and when it was over, Brown walked through the train attempting to get off. Few passengers, if any, at first realized what had happened, until they noticed drops of blood on the floor. 90 seconds after the attack, a bystander rushes down to begin lending aid to Zarutska. She would die from her injuries. 30 seconds later, 9:52 p.m., 6 minutes into the video, Brown leaves the light rail.
The video here shows us just how quickly things happened and how difficult it would have been to prevent once he got on the train. And that is an important part to all of this. From what we've been told, Brown never should have been on the train. Authorities tell WBTV he did not. Cat says it is working on ways.
He didn't buy a ticket, been arrested multiple times, 14 times, man. And some of it because of violence. Man, this is disturbing. It's egregious. If you're a parent, it really hits hard. This young lady left a war-torn country to come here for a better life. And this is what happens? Come on, man, this is disgusting. So there's a second part of that video that I'm going to show. I'm going to blur some of it out because I don't think you could show it all on certain social media platforms, but I'm gonna go ahead and play the second part of that video. Breaks my heart. It's disgusting, man. Now, I know this guy, at least they say he suffers from mental illness. Okay, I get that part. But this man has been arrested 14 times. Maybe, just maybe, they should be treating him behind bars instead of letting him roam free in the streets, man, so stuff like this can happen. This is crazy. This is a beautiful young woman that came from a war-torn country to pursue the American dream. She's here working hard, minding her own business on her phone with her earpods in, and this man does this. You have to keep your head on a swivel. And for those of us who have children, this is the type of stuff we worry about, amongst other things. But we want our kids to be alert. For her life to end like this is just disgusting, man. It actually pisses me off. And there'll be people that defend this. As a matter of fact, this guy has what? GoFundMe? What did they say? They started a few GoFundMes for this dude. For what? This dude deserves, in my estimation, I mean, allegedly he did this. You got to say stupid stuff like that. So allegedly he did this. But from what I can see, he did it. And he deserves exactly what he gave her. That's the way he should go out too. He deserves, in my opinion, to be unalived. They're actually going to, in this next video, they're going to address his criminal record. So let's go ahead and jump over to that.
Serious stuff now. The brutal murder of a 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee on a Charlotte metro train is now under investigation by the FBI. We learn more about the suspect's lengthy criminal history.
Alexandra Hall joins us outside the White House with the latest. Good morning, Alexandra.
Well, good morning to you. Yeah, there is a lot to learn on this criminal history. And the suspect had previously walked free on cashless bail. That was based on a written promise he made to improve his behavior. Also, his own mother had pled to have him behind bars just due to his ongoing troubles, his issues, and the threats that he had made. Decarlos Brown Jr. had been in and out of courts and jails for a decade when police say he murdered 23-year-old Iryna Zarutska. She was killed exactly 3 years since she moved to the U.S. from Ukraine to escape the war. Now, Brown's earliest offenses including speeding, threats to injury to property, and those were all dismissed. Now, in 2014, Brown pleaded guilty to 2 counts of felony larceny, breaking and entering. He received probation for that. 4 months later, in 2015, he pleaded guilty to robbery with a dangerous weapon. Since he was out in probation, he was sent to prison, but he was released 6 months early. He spent 5 years in prison. In 2022, Brown was arrested for assaulting a woman and injuring property. In 2024, he was arrested for misusing 911 and again for the same thing last year. Then in January, another misuse of 911, that charge. He was released by a judge the same day. Then on the 28th, the judge requested a mental capacity evaluation to proceed with January charges. But it was then on August 22nd that he boards a light rail train in Charlotte. 4.5 minutes after a young woman sits in front of him, he viciously stabs her, according to police. Now, President Trump, he has long blamed cashless bail for situations like this. Here's him responding to this case.
There are evil people, and we have to confront that. I just give my love and hope to the family of the young woman who was stabbed this morning or last night in Charlotte by a madman, a lunatic, just got up and started. It's right on the tape. We're going to get to the end of it. And, you know, when you have horrible killings, you have to take horrible actions.
And Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says his agency has also launched an investigation.
But the mayor hasn't been, the governor hasn't been, senators haven't been. In Charlotte, North Carolina, this happens on a train. You'd think it would resonate with everyone, but they said we don't want to give the killer any fame, and we want to be sensitive to the family's needs. Really? You don't think the family would like to know who killed him, and would this be able to be stopped again? And since when does a high-profile crime not get publicity because you're concerned about the family? How about the people on that train, and how about this woman who has no idea she's about to die?
And then there's a local reporter named Joe Bruno who put this on social media about what the suspect's mother said about her own son. She says when Brown was released from prison, Brown's mom said he started saying weird things. She says she got Brown evaluated, but his behavior became aggressive. So she got an involuntary commitment order from the courts. He was placed under psychiatric monitoring for 2 weeks and diagnosed with schizophrenia. But after he was released, she says Brown became so aggressive she had to kick him out. He became homeless. Brown's mom says the court should have never let her son out in the community knowing he had mental health issues and previous arrests.
The more and more we learn about this case, the more frustrated I get with the criminal justice system. I'm sorry, the mom did the right thing. She got him evaluated. She did the tough work and said that he needs to be committed. And then the courts decide to allow this guy out. And then you see the long list of rap sheets. She didn't try to cover for his behavior. She admits it. She feels horrible for what happened here. She should be added to the victim list as well as the other families that are now grieving for this because she did everything that she was supposed to do. But if the mother realized that he was crazy, why didn't the criminal justice system realize he was crazy?
So get this, his lawyer also said, and the mother said, that he is a danger to society,
Yes.
his own lawyer. So why would the judge let him out with a written commitment to come back again? And I look at what the mayor says. We can't arrest our way out of a lunatic randomly killing people on trains. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Well, keep them out and keep the lunatics off the trains. Can you try that?
Soft on crime. They soft on crime. The man's own mother said that this guy does not belong in the streets. The attorney all say that this man does not belong in the streets. Arrested 14 times. Obviously, something is wrong with him. Look, I understand people have mental health issues. We want people who have mental health issues, especially if they have committed violent acts, which he has. They need to treat him behind bars. This beautiful young lady loses her life, came here to seek the American dream, wanted to restart her life, man. 3 years later, after coming from a war-torn country, the Ukraine, she gets unalived like this, and we are talking about it. And it's interesting how mainstream media didn't cover this. The people that were actually covering this is interesting were people on podcasts. Podcasts, man, that's where you started seeing more and more coverage of this. So let's go over here to CNN. I think it's interesting to hear these people talk, man. It's really interesting to see these people talk. Let's take a look, man. Abby Phillips, she should be ashamed of herself, in my opinion.
So certain people have been looking for an opportunity to find a case like this, to make a point like this. I want to play, this is Charlie Kirk, why he says this hasn't gotten a lot of attention.
A white Ukrainian refugee was murdered just because she was white. Everybody knows that, obviously. If a random white person simply walked up to and stabbed a nice, law-abiding black person for no reason, it would be an apocalyptically huge national story used to impose national sweeping political changes on the whole country. Instead, Megan Basham, no one seems to care when a white woman gets stabbed to the death.
Wow. He said white a lot.
Well, we are talking about it here on ABC, so I guess I don't think that's fair. Look, being in the system, because I have represented people who are mentally ill, and here's the balance. The balance is taking away people's freedom versus evaluating their mental illness. And New York City, there are a lot of programs for people who are mentally ill, but they have to want to be there.
Yeah, and it's
about
difficult
forcing them to be there.
When you are mentally ill, you have a hard time knowing that you are mentally ill. But also, I mean, people like Charlie Kirk, they've been looking for opportunities to make this some sort of like reciprocal George Floyd situation. And that's the part that I think he's almost giving away the game. And it's sad to see a lot of people going along with it.
You know, let me just say a couple of things. One is, I mean, what happened to that young woman was horrible. And it's everybody's nightmare. If you're in any public space, a subway, whatever, that something bad is going to happen to you or somebody you care about. So it does strike a chord. We don't know why that man did what he did. And for Charlie Kirk to say, we know he did it because she's white, when there's no evidence of that, it's just pure race mongering, hate mongering. It's wrong. Then he says that if something like that had happened the other way, there would be sweeping changes imposed on society. And then for someone like Charlie Kirk, he should be ashamed of himself. No one mentioned the word race, white, black, or anything except him.
Man, No one pushes race as much as you guys, man. This is interesting. Van Jones, Abby Phillips, you guys push race all the time, and for you to sit here and act as if when that situation happened with George Floyd, man, the media, especially you guys, was all over it. There was protests in the street. There was businesses that were vandalized, cars, people beat up. Burning cars, burning buildings. Van Jones and Abby Phillips both, man, they should be ashamed of themselves. You want to sit up here and make it seem like this is a Charlie Kirk thing? You guys do this more than anybody I know, anybody I see on TV, except for the ladies of The View. you guys push race all the time, and for you to sit up here and say that, oh well, we don't know why this man did this horrific act. Well, we have a video here of him saying, I got that white girl. I got that white girl.
We don't know why that man did what he did. And for Charlie Kirk to say, we know he did it because she's white, when there's no evidence of that, it's just pure race mongering, hate mongering. We don't know why that man did what he did. And for
Interesting. He said, I got that white girl. I got that white girl. This girl's 23 years old. And her family said that, because they offered to send her body back to the Ukraine, and the family said no, she loved America, and they want her buried in America. And this should be a cautionary tale for people out here, man, that are not paying attention on what's going on. I mean, for her, she left a war-torn country, so America probably looked like, a very peaceful, beautiful, nice place. Let's go over to President Trump. President Trump he addressed this situation.
Yes, Andrew, good to be with you for another hour. Caroline Leavitt went on to say that cashless bail is a, quote, failed experiment.
It is.
We all heard it. She took the media to task, essentially saying they refused to cover the story because it didn't fit their, quote, preferred narrative.
For too long, Americans have been forced to put up with Democrat-run cities that set loose savage, bloodthirsty criminals to prey on innocent people. Really very, very innocent people. In every place, they control radical left judges, politicians, and activists, and they've adopted a policy of catch and release for thugs and killers. In Charlotte, North Carolina, we saw the results of these policies when a 23-year-old woman who came here from Ukraine met her bloody end on a public train. And here's a picture of it. This is the picture of it. And this is a picture of the woman. A beautiful young girl that never had problems in life, with a magnificent future in this country. And now she's dead. She was slaughtered by a deranged monster who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests. We cannot allow a depraved criminal element of violent repeat offenders to continue spreading destruction and death throughout our country. We have to respond with force and strength. We have to be vicious just like they are. It's the only thing they understand. 24 of the top 25 most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrat mayors. 50 people were murdered in Chicago in recent weeks, with hundreds being shot.
Make those cities safe. I don't know why Democrats have a pushback on that. You should invite the help of the president, the help of the National Guard, to want your citizens to be safe, your constituents to be safe. You guys are more worried about the optics of it, because if President Trump comes in and cleans things up, you're thinking, wow, my constituents might go Republican. They might become Republicans and vote Republicans. So I might not win a re-election.